as I am in what I want and believe in for kids, for my own kid, might have said, well, let's just wait and see, right? Going through a full construction site, pulling around back, going and knocking on the door, like, is this it? You know, looking in, and then you see people in shorts and t-shirts and flip-flops, and he said, this is the principal right here, and he has on like sandals, and you're like, for real? Then we're sitting and talking, and there's flies all around, and we're trying to act like there's not flies all around. I mean, that's a tough choice for your kid, your most prized possession, right? So we are excited that you, and honored that through all of that, you have said, I'm with y'all. And so we're going to honor that, and we're going to pursue that, so that you know that when you come, that you made the right decision, right? Because I know you're up in the middle of the night, and am I making the right decision? Right? And I want you to make sure and feel comfortable on that first day that you know that it was 2,000 days, right? That it's just not going to close overnight. That today, the 20th might be the first day, but there's over 2,000 days that this was supposed to happen, of work. And now it's going to happen. And so that is our expectation, is excellence from the teachers and everybody that you encounter. If I've talked to you one-on-one, you probably heard me tell this or make this analogy. There's multiple ways to success. At McDonald's, you order a 6-piece nugget, they give you 1 honey mustard. If you go ask for another honey mustard, they say, give me 26 cents. Right? At Chick-fil-A, they greet you, hi. Right? And then they say, can I have a name for the order? And then they slide your phone and they say, thank you. If you look old, Mr. Ralph. If you look young, Ralph. You know. And so they swipe your card and they say, my pleasure. Would you care for any sauces? They're like, yes, I'd like the Polynesian. And then if you grew up with McDonald's, you're like, can I have a Polynesian and a Chick-fil-A sauce? yes, you can. No, how many do you want? And then they get that little cup, they start dumping all over. I'm like, well, not that many. But thank you, because when we eat the regular chicken nuggets with the dinosaur from H-E-B, I'll put that sauce in with my kid. That's real stuff, right? And so you go to Chick-fil-A and you feel like, do I need to leave a tip or something? Right? And it's still fast food. It's still fried chicken. So you even think that it's healthy. So you go there 3 times a week. So they both make billions of dollars. One has chosen to operate differently. And that's all we're doing here at Legacy. We're choosing to operate differently, right? And so from the sports side and the programming side, that's the draw. But I really feel like after the first couple of months, you're going to say, yeah, the sports part, but the way they treat my kid, it's invaluable, right? It's encouraging. They're lifting them up. I don't believe in the model of tear them down and then build them back up. That is not our role. Our role is always to put in positive words of encouragement to kids. And so, just like at home, our kids are challenging. They do crazy stuff. My kid, my oldest one, when I'm fussing at him, he actually completes the sentences before I finish saying them. So I'll be like, don't you... you better get it. Like, how do you know? So then I go crazy, right? And so then I go back and say, hey man, I'm sorry. You know I love you. I apologize. I lost it. But how do you know what I'm about to say? Right? And so if we make those mistakes, right? If our teachers make those mistakes, and when I tell you, we have some phenomenal teachers, right? The folks that are going to be in front of your kids are unbelievable. There's stories that they're going to be able to tell, that they're sharing. One of the math teachers, he was the #1 defensive prospect in the country coming out of high school. And he'll tell his stories to your kids. But he's here. Right? We have a Hall of Fame, a women's Hall of Fame basketball player and coach here. So, I mean, it's endless. The opportunities and exposure for your students. So, if you have any questions, what time is it? Please tell me it's not 10:30. Is it? Oh, we got plenty of time.
Oh, no.
So let me tell you about this story. So now we can ask any questions that you may have. I'll definitely answer them. Let's kind of keep it, if it's for the whole group versus very specific to your kid, because we have kids coming from everywhere, right? We have kids coming from homeschool, so when they wake up in the morning, they might be like, I'm gonna have my breakfast and then some juice, watch a little TV maybe, and get started. And then we have kids go, we can't be late because they give detention first minute. So there's gonna be all kinds of different perspectives when we walk through the door. So the questions, if you can keep them kind of general for the good, then that'd be great. And then if you have an individual question, a concern, you know, we'll have time to do that as well. So, yes, ma'am.
What time is first day of school? What time?
8 o'clock.
Oh, thank you.
8 o'clock. Yes, ma'am.
So I know you talked about when they first get here about the schedule, but will they be moving? Or can you tell us a little bit more about the day as far as do they move from class to class? Do they take their books with them for the whole day? Do they high schoolers and middle schoolers eat lunch together? Can you tell us more about the way the day is going to look?
So they will, hopefully we'll get everything settled that first period, so they will go to each one of their classes, right? So in the middle school, it's the same as this, really. So they might have this class, that's how they're flowing, or a little bit over here. So they will move about. They won't interact with the high school. So on that end, it's high school. The only time high school will be on that side is to go pick their food up so they can get it back, because that's the only place that they can pick up their food, right? But they'll move back over to this side. High school will move back over to this side. Middle school lunch will run, they won't get an hour, they'll get 30 minutes, and we'll put half in at one time, the other half will go to advisory, and then swap out. But the advisory really is kind of like the hour, because we're just gonna kind of facilitate what you do during those times. When you have an hour off, well, hey, if you completed all your work, put your phone on, listen to it, right? Listen to music. If you have not completed all your work, this might be a great time to do that, right? And then we're watching and telling parents that, why are you coming home with homework? Or why did you miss that assignment? Because you had advisory. What were you doing during advisory? And then they're going to probably lie to you about that. Well, because, and so that's what the lunch will look like. There will be no interaction. They don't share classes. High school and middle school don't share any classes. It is, like I said, pretty segregated as much as we can with the building. Obviously, I mean, they'll probably have interaction. Some of them are brother, sister, you know, those kind of things, so they'll be looking for each other. All the classes are glass, so they can see when they're walking in or walking by. So that is the flow. So even if you're, well, this is my high school. So middle school is 8 to 3:55, 7 periods, right? You can come as early as 6:15. Somebody will be here. They'll be in the common area like this to be able to eat, hang out. Again, we're trying to teach them how to manage their time. If you want your child to go to college, when they get to college, kids usually don't come back home because they don't have the intellectual capacity They come home because they don't know how to manage the time. They make their schedule in college. Then they go to the student center, and there's a DJ. There's people passing out credit cards. There's nice-looking young ladies, nice-looking young men, and then they have to decide if they're going to go to history class. Man, that's a tough choice. So when they're in ninth grade, when they're freshmen, they look around. I don't see my mommy. And they might not go. And then when they don't go, they wait for that phone call. They don't call. Oh. But then the semester grade comes and it's an F. Right? So nobody told them, intervened. So that's what we're trying to teach, right? So you had advisory period. I dropped you off at 7 and you had time. There were teachers there. You could have got on the Wi-Fi. You could have got on Khan Academy. You could have done anything else besides sit there and do nothing. And so then you ask them, were you pursuing excellence today? Tell me how you pursued excellence when you sat for 2 hours doing nothing. And then our teachers will have that same language. Right? Does that help? What else?
Like books, like
books.
Taking that from class to class.
So we'll have a classroom set. Really, my opinion, if it's printed, it's old. Because it's at least 2 years old. Because they had to bound it. And those math, yeah, the skills are there, but they're not bringing in sport analogies. It's the exact same thing that they could get at any other school. Harcourt, Pearson, all those book companies are not designing academic coursework designed for the kids who are sitting in this room. Our teachers have that understanding and knowledge. So the book is a guide. We have resources, the internet has resources. We'll bring in specialists to help them. Yesterday we sat through a grading presentation on how grading impacts kids, right? So we're not tied to Pearson or Harcourt. We are tied to the best resource that deals with your individual kid. So the books, carrying them around like we did, no, they don't have to do that. And if we have books, they'll be kind of classroom sets. We expect to have devices in September, so they'll get their device, and then that interaction will happen. Most of their instruction will happen through that. Yes, ma'am.
Will there be a parent portal for us to be able to kind of monitor assignments and stuff?
I believe there is through Schoolmint. Is it?
No, it's WebSmart.
It's through Westmark?
Yes. So we'll get all the information out to you. Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Guys that play football in middle school, do they need to come at a certain time and they don't take a shower? It's going to be like from 6 to 8. I hadn't heard anything.
Yeah, so there's no showers here. There's no showers. They do, middle school football is at 7. It goes, then they'll have athletic period at 8. So they'll already be there. Athletics he'll stop practice at 8:30 so they can get back into their regular gear, and then